Charania just dropped a bombshell Rockets trade report as NBA superstar Kevin Durant on his way out of Phoenix. Well, the Houston Rockets and KD have mutual interest in getting a deal done this summer. Welcome in here to Rockets Digest. I'm Jace Andrews. And before we get going, if you want to know what's going on with the Kevin Durant trade saga, you want all the reports, you want to hear when the Rockets say something, when KD says something, when Shams says something, when a report comes out, we have you covered. Go down there and hit that subscribe button. Whether you want KD or don't, this is a big thing, so I bet you want to follow along. Hit that subscribe button down below. It's free, it's easy, and it just puts our videos right in front of you so you know exactly what's happening and when it is happening. We first start with a report from Shams. This was on NBA Today yesterday, saying, quote, "There is going to be a level of mutual interest, and there has been already, with them, the Houston Rockets, and Kevin Durant with the Suns," end quote. Now this in itself, coming after the season is done, knowing the interest is still there on both sides, is huge. And what he says after this is also just as big, which we'll get into that in just a moment, because it kind of changes the way we look at the playoffs and we look at whether or not KD will come to Houston. But besides the point, the mutual interest is there. And with Shams, this entire year, he has really mentioned how Kevin Durant wants to compete for a championship. The Houston Rockets, they're the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. They have a really good young core that could really push KD into this final chapter, hopefully with a NBA Finals appearance / championship. And I don't know about you, but as a Rockets guy, I would love to see a championship in H-Town right now as well. That's besides the point. With KD, it's one that a trade is going to have to work out between both sides, because we know that overall Kevin Durant has shown interest in coming to the Rockets. The Rockets have shown a little bit of interest in getting Kevin Durant, not as much as, one way or another. But it also has to work with the Suns. That's a big thing, because I know that KD and Phoenix are going to work together to try and go out there and get a trade that works for what KD wants and what the Suns want. But at the end of the day, they both have to work. It can't be one or the other. And the Rockets are one of the few teams that both work. KD wants to come to the Rockets, I think, in all intents and purposes. And then the Suns, they're going to get a big haul back from Houston. And something that I don't think is mentioned as much as it really should be is Kevin Durant played college ball at Texas. Coming back to his home state to finish out his home state from his college days, finish out his career, potentially win a championship. Not going to the Mavs, they aren't winning anything, so may as well come to us. Win a championship with the Rockets. It just kind of makes a lot of sense. The bigger thing beyond it, though, is what the Rockets have to give up. And honestly, in some aspects, giving up a big haul is worth it. 26.6 points per game. I know he's at the age that he is. He'll go into his age 37 season here in the upcoming year. He doesn't have but 1 year left on his contract, so an extension, in theory, to try and keep him till 40 years old is definitely on the table. But he's still competing at an NBA All-Star level. He's still competing at what is, in some ways, a playoffs MVP level. He is worth a lot of pieces. The bigger thing that I look at in all this, and more or less trying to see how this roster will shape up and this playoffs will shape up, is the new report that Shams gave us. Because up until now, we thought that if you make it far in the playoffs, but you just don't get the championship, that's the team that's going to get KD. He wants to go to a team that is one Kevin Durant away from getting into the finals / winning the finals. But then Shams, yesterday on NBA Today, said this regarding Kevin Durant and the quote, "Let's see how they do. If they win a couple of rounds, they might be a good where they're at. If you lose early and you don't win enough, could you look at a guy like Kevin Durant? Once again, this offseason, monitor them," end quote, talking about the Houston Rockets. Whoa. Up until now, we thought, okay, you had to get to, round 2, maybe even the Western Conference Finals to have a shot at Kevin Durant because he wants to go and he wants to compete. But it seems for the Rockets, and I'm not saying that this is just for the Rockets, but it kind of seems like it's that way. He would say they are a Kevin Durant away. even if they lose. And from the Rockets side, if you lose, you know you need an extra piece in some ways. Whereas if you win, maybe you think, we like our guys. We don't want to trade anybody, especially key pieces, to go get him. And so from there on out, man, we're fine. We're going to be good with what we got. So now you look at this playoff picture and think a little differently. Okay, so you beat the Warriors. That's great. What is the round where Rafael Stone looks at this team and says, you know what? No, we're not going to trade our key pieces. We're not going to trade anybody for Kevin Durant. We're going to keep our guys. We trust our guys, and we're going to work to make this team even better next season. What's that round? Is it beating the Warriors and losing to the Lakers? Is it beating the Warriors and the Lakers, or Timberwolves for that matter? That's the question that I think everybody's asking is, where is the round that you have to be to warrant saying, I don't need Kevin Durant? And so I ask you this question. Do the Rockets need Kevin Durant? Let's say they, whatever happens in the playoffs happens. Do you think that the Rockets need Kevin Durant to win a championship? Or are you fine with the roster we have right now? Do you think that is worthy of a championship title contending team? Either way, you face the Warriors in round one of the playoffs coming up here. And the Warriors, I think, are an interesting matchup for many different reasons. Obviously, it's a team that you've played a lot this season. You end up having a 2-3 record. Really a couple of wins, really nice. One in Golden State, one at home. And those were the most recent 3 games. You were 2-1. So I want to look at that more than, a game in November or a game in December. This team is very much a different team from when it was in 2024 to now in 2025. And when we're talking about, it's almost May. So those games were nearly 6 months ago. So I don't really want to look at the game where they lost in a close one, by the way, at home, or lost in a close one on the road. The most recent games are the ones that I think you look at, and I think they have a really good shot to beat the Golden State Warriors. However, the point is still there. Do you want Kevin Durant, and do you beat the Warriors, and does that say, I don't want Kevin Durant anymore? Like, I'm just so curious as to what the idea is for Rafael Stone. And from the report, and I trust Shams. I mean, obviously, losing Woj and having Shams as your new ESPN insider, sometimes it's questionable. Okay, well, Woj had so many good inside takes. Is Shams going to have the same thing? So far, he's been pretty much on top of it. I trust that he's on top of it, and I trust that his words have double meanings to him. And I think this was a full push for the Rockets saying, hey, they are in line to grab Kevin Durant. It's just about what happens in this playoffs, because we have Phoenix's picks. We can give them right back to them. We have some star players that we could maybe be okay with shedding a contract and giving it over to them. Now, is it worth a Jalen Green? No. Is it worth an Amen Thompson? No. Is it worth an Alperen Şengün? No. Is it worth a Jabari Smith Jr.? Yeah, for sure. I think so. Him and a couple of first-round picks. You get KD, 100%. It just depends what the offer is out there for. And it's just so many different nuances to this. As, again, you have the series against the Golden State Warriors, which is going to be a fun series, but is more telling than just the series. Because, with every series you win, I think the odds of getting KD go down in this instance because the Rockets side won't want them. And I don't disagree. If the Rockets make it to the Western Conference Finals, I'm not sending off Jalen Green to go get Kevin Durant. Let's run it back. We just got to the Western Conference Finals and played what has arguably been the best team in the past, I'm going to say, 3 years in the Western Conference in the Oklahoma City Thunder, in theory. I'm fine with running that back. Let's go try that again. Let's go see how the Thunder, see if they're doing it a second year. We're also still in what is a rebuilding phase. I think people forget that this is still a building process. I think there's so many young players, Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, that have a potential to be, I'm not going to say starters, but huge bench guys. And say Red VanVleet leaves, we don't sign him back, they could also move into a starting role and become a very good player in that aspect. And sometimes you just need the minutes to get to the point that you want to be in. So the team has so much positive outlook that if they do win and if they do get to that Western Conference Finals, then I don't know that Kevin Durant is the move whatsoever. I don't care if you're sending Jabari Smith Jr. I don't care if you're sending anybody. I think you run it back next year and see what goes on from there. And if it's 2-3 years in a row where you can't get anything going, that's when maybe you try and look at it. But you're so early into this process, I don't know if it's worth it to put all the chips on the table, so to say. But who is to say what the Rockets are thinking and what Kevin Durant is thinking, but it'll all work itself out in the offseason, and we will have all the reports for you right here on Rockets Digest. So once again, go down there and hit the subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, and it takes 2 seconds to put our videos right in front of you. All right, we appreciate your time, Rockets Nation, and we will see you next time here on Rockets Digest. Peace out.